Okay, now we're going to look at how teacher retention rates changed. A good way to look at this is by the numbers. Teacher attrition from the profession comprises about 90% of annual teacher demand and drives many of the shortages we see today, particularly in high-need schools across the country where turnover can reach 30% or more annually. 30%, that's how much less, on average, U.S. teachers are paid compared to other college graduates. 9 out of 10 teachers hired each year are replacing colleagues who left teaching. Two-thirds of those that have left are having quit before retirement, which brings in an alarming rate of unqualified instructors. And in fact, as students return to school this year, many will be in one of the more than 100,000 classrooms across the country, staffed by an instructor not fully qualified to teach. We see in many states where they're starting to pay for moving costs and giving several annual raises for unqualified teachers, which still is nice to bring people in, but if we're bringing in unqualified teachers, then the retention and turnover is just going to continue to skyrocket. In fact, looking at how much teachers on average made last year, we see that teachers on average across the United States made $30,377. Compare that to the annual salary of a garbage truck driver who makes close to $36,000. As we see, that 30% number comes into play again. When over 5 years in teacher retention, 70% of teachers remain in their original schools, but we still have this 30% total area left with teachers leaving the profession, going to another school, or returning to another profession, meaning that we constantly have this gap that needs to be filled.
Here's one of the things that I'd like to share with you, which is a data point. In a recent survey, so 2016, of our principals and human resource directors, we asked the question, in the last 5 days, how many principals have had to sub for missing teachers in classrooms? 61% of our principals said that they have had to sub in a classroom because they lack the certificated teachers. That says a lot about what's going on, not just in the classrooms, but somebody in the previous panel also talked about the administration and the fact that our administrators, if we're asking them to be instructional leaders, are having a very difficult time being those instructional leaders because they're having to make choices about whether they're going to split up a classroom and divide those students between other classrooms, or are they going to go and step into the classroom themselves. I think that a couple of very choice quotes that I'd like to share with you, and I over-prepared, so I'm rushing because I think there's some important things that I want to share with you, and I'm hoping that you will ask me questions afterwards. But here's one of the quotes that I wanted to share with you because I thought it was very important. This is what's going on in our principals' lives. Finding teachers and subs in all areas are incredibly difficult. I've attended teacher career fairs in Washington, Montana, Oregon, and Idaho, trying to find qualified teachers. When I attended the job fair in Idaho, there were more school recruiters than teacher candidates that came through. Finding subs is very difficult as well. I've had to teach in classrooms, and I got my CDL last year so I could help drive a bus when they couldn't find bus drivers.
Very, very alarming, as we can see. So, another thing that's very stressful and leads to these retention rates are the use of Common Core standards that have come into play the last few years. As you can see right here, when polled, not only are teachers finding it challenging to meet the Common Core standards, but we also see the administration is finding it very challenging. Administration actually is finding it more challenging at 67 total percent. So the Common Core standards are also playing a part in our turnover rates. So what are some of the factors that we've learned leading to lack of retention? We have unqualified and ineffective teachers. and positions are being filled by anybody and everybody off the streets. Our teachers across the nation are grossly underpaid at 30% less annually than other workers with 4 years of college experience. And we also see that there are a high amount of expectations for our first couple years of teaching, such as BITSA, teaching those Common Core standards, also multiple tests such as CSATs, RICAs, TPAs. So as we can see, there's a few reasons here that lead to teacher turnover and lack of retention.